All right. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and just give me 1 second. Good afternoon. My name is Judge Lal, and we're going to begin with our expedited accusation calendar with the State Court of Fulton County. These are misdemeanor criminal cases in which individuals were recently arrested and booked at the Fulton County Jail. Soon after that, their cases were formally accused by the prosecutor, who is the Solicitor General of Fulton County. It would be the defendant's initial appearance before a judicial officer after the cases have been accused. Please remember that if you are a defendant, you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say in open court, your statements can and will be used against you in the treatment of your case. You have a right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to represent you. Who do we have in courtroom 2?
We have, I'm sorry, position number 13, Mr. Reinhardt. He has a private attorney.
Okay.
Morning, Your Honor. Bill Swank on behalf of Mr. Reinhardt.
All right, sir. And what was the last name?
Mine is Swank, Your Honor, S-W-A-N-K, William.
Got it. Thank you. All right. This is State versus Grant Hurlbut Reinhardt, case 24 CR 006815H. Mr. Reinhardt is accused of battery family violence from September 22nd, 2024. Mr. Reinhardt, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. Swank. Mr. Howard, any priors on Mr. Reinhardt?
Second arrest, 1990, transporting alcohol. That's it.
Miss Ellen, any recommendations?
Yes, Your Honor. We have not been in touch with the victim this morning. Her name is Jackie Walsh. Or no, that's emergency contact. The victim in this case is Karen Reinhardt. I guess we would like to hear from the defense as far as that's concerned, but we would be requesting an SOB, Your Honor, with no violent contact, unless, of course, there's a different request by the victim.
All right. Is Miss Reinhardt on the Zoom? Mr. Swank, the prosecution is recommending a signature bond through pretrial and with no violent contact with the alleged victim. I gather then there won't be a stay away. What is the defense position? Any objections to that?
There is not, Your Honor. The only prior arrest was a possession of alcohol as a minor, no violent history. He will be returning to his home where he lives with his mother, who's on the Zoom with us. He is employed. He's self-employed, Your Honor. And
all right, thank you. On the
Your Honor, just for clarification purposes, could you sound for Mrs. Karen Reinhardt?
Miss Karen Reinhardt? I see a Jackie Walsh, but I see an iPhone with a red ceiling. I have no idea who that is. But is there Karen Reinhardt? No. All right. Bond is set at
Your Honor, because we haven't been able to get in touch with the victim, we don't know what she would request. This is a battery against a spouse in the home that they share. And so we would request no contact and stay away until we're able to assess what it is the victim's position is and make sure she's in a position that is a safe one.
You initially requested no violent contact. I mean,
what I requested was to hear from the defense because we hadn't heard from the victim. And typically in cases like this, the victim appears on Zoom and doesn't respond to our calls and appears in response and support of her husband. But at this point, we don't have any information about her. And we have requested and reached out to her.
Your Honor,
there's some concerns we'd like to address until we hear otherwise.
Mr. Swank, please hold. Please hold.
certainly.
Please hold. Who's hosting? Miss Champion? There is a person on an iPhone who keeps coming in and out. Could you put that person in the waiting room, please? Thank you.
Yes, yes,
And
ma'am.
then there is, okay. So yes, Mr. Swank.
Yes, Your Honor. The alleged victim here has moved out of the house. They will no longer live together. They were living at the time in the defendant's mother's house, and that's where the defendant would return. She has already moved out. If the court is happier with no contact at all, we can do that until we have an opportunity to address it, you know, at a different day with a different court if the prosecution is concerned.
Well, Mr. Swank, I'm very appreciative of you trying to keep me happy. So let's go with this. 2,500 signature bond through pretrial services. No further contact with Karen Reinhardt pending any contact she has with the victim advocate's office. Then that can always be modified by motion. I'm assuming that he's going to be living with Jackie Walsh or be living in the marital home.
He is going to be living with Jackie Walsh, Your Honor, who's on the Zoom with us today. If the court has any questions or.
No, I just want to make sure that Mr. Reinhardt updates the court with any change of address. So if Jackie Walsh's address is on file, then that's great. If not, it needs to be on file in writing.
He is on file, Your Honor.
All right, no illegal drugs, no alcohol, no weapons, and no firearms. And he's to report to pretrial once a month. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. That's my only case. May I be excused?
Frank, have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Judge.
All right, Ms. Walsh, you are free to go.
Your Honor, what level was that?
1.
Next, we have position number 9, Ms. Moore.
I'll be in.
Excuse me.
Excuse me.
This is State versus Charity Moore, accused of unlawful conduct during a 911 call or making a false report, allegedly on October 2nd of this year. Accusation 24 CR 6824J. Ms. Moore, you've been advised of your right to remain silent. Your attorney is Mr. McLean. Any priors, Ms. Howard?
Got 7 total, 2024 FTA, open battery DV out of state court, trespass. It's 23 CR 000420J and a 2020 simple battery dismissed. That's it.
Ms.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. It's my case.
Yes, ma'am.
This incident happened on October 2nd. The defendant called 911 in regards to a verbal dispute and said that she apparently called back and told 911 that someone had been stabbed, and she was going to keep calling until an officer was sent out or take matters into her own hands. And of course, when police arrived, they discovered that no one had been stabbed, and the defendant told the police that she did that so that an officer would come out faster. She has an open case. We're requesting 1,000 surety, a BHET, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol. And of course, don't call 911 unless it's an actual emergency. Thank you.
Mr. McLean? I'm sorry, Mr. McLean, you're on mute.
Thank you, Your Honor. We would request a signature bond rather than a surety bond, but don't think there'll be a BHET necessary at this point. The record is exactly what Ms. Moore said it would be, and she, I believe, would be trustworthy to come back to court despite that earlier FTA.
Bond is set at 500. It is a surety bond. No false reports to the police. And her next court date is going to be October 15th, Ms. Bridgewater.
That is correct, Your Honor.
Next court date is October 15th to address both this new case as well as 23 CR 000420J. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I had to unmute it.
Uh-oh.
I'm sorry, who are you? Yolanda Taylor, who are you?
She's a victim, Your Honor, in position
Okay, now
12.
All right, mute her until we address position 12. Next case, please.
We can go to ACDC if they're ready.
All right, ACDC, who do we have, please?
Yes, good afternoon, Judge Law. This is gonna be position number 10. Ms. Morris, you can have a seat right here. Thank you, Gothi.
You're welcome.
This is State versus Brianna LaShawn Morris, 24 CR 6823E, accused of battery family violence from August 4th of this year. Ms. Morris, you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say in open court, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney, and representing you is Mr. McLean. Any priors, Mr. Howard?
No.
Ms. Allen?
Thank you, Your Honor. This is a dual arrest with position number, defendant last name Paraison, Paraison, and that's number 11.
Okay.
Police were called.
Excuse me.
Just one second, Ms. Allen. Unmute Rhonda Taylor. Miss Taylor, unmute your phone.
Okay, yes,
Miss
Veronica.
Taylor, listen very carefully. Listen very carefully.
Okay, I'm hearing impaired.
We are going to put you in the waiting room, and then we're going to bring you out again when position number 12, Veronica Richardson, is being addressed.
Okay, thank you.
Please place her in the waiting room.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Your Honor, may I interrupt for just 1 second?
Just 1 minute. Ms. Champion, okay, yes, go ahead, Ms. Bridgewater.
I gave you the wrong date for the SAP calendar. We've now moved to October the 17th.
Okay, no problem.
Okay.
Miss Charity Moore's case is going to be moved up to October 17th for SAP. Okay, for both cases. All right, going back to Miss Charity Moore and the cross defendant. I'm sorry, Miss Allen, you were saying?
This is Brianna Morris, Your Honor, and her cross defendant.
Yes, I'm sorry, Miss Morris and the Paraison. Yes, what are we doing?
So both of these individuals are charged with battery family violence. This is an incident that occurred over the midnight hour, August the 4th into August the 5th. They share an 8-month-old. At the time, the child was 8 months old. Police were called to the location around 11:50. That call was made by a third party, but also Mr. Paraison in position 11 was a caller. This is 1700 Northside Drive, Northwest, apartment 1405. The defendant in position 11 reported that he'd been assaulted by the woman he shares a child with, Mrs. Morris, that she became upset out of jealousy. And assaulted him with a spatula. He was observed to have small lacerations on his face. And the defendant, Mrs. Morris, in position 10, had fled the location. She later returned to the location and made a police report. She said she left because she was in fear. She had her infant with her. She reported that she was speaking to Mr. Paraison, position 11, while he was cooking, and asked him if he was going to cook more shrimp than what he was already preparing. This made him angry. He pushed her, got on top of her, and proceeded to punch her multiple times in her head. She was seen to have swelling and knots on her head in multiple places, and ultimately she was treated by medical professionals and diagnosed with a concussion. We'll see. Both individuals were followed up with by APD DV investigators, Your Honor. Neither of them have ever been arrested before. They both had visible injuries. We're asking for no further violent contact, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons, and an SOB through pretrial for both.
And I have Jean Paraison, case number 24CR 006-814G. Mr. Paraison is in courtroom 2. And Ms. Paraison, you've been advised of your rights as well, and your attorney is Ms. Maureen McLeod. Ms. McLeod, any objection to the bond recommendation?
I did not hear bond recommendation, Your Honor.
As a signature bond through pretrial, no violent contact.
That is fine, Your Honor, that is fine with us.
Mr. McLean, any objection to the bond recommendation?
None, Your Honor.
All right. Ms. Brianna Morris and Mr. Jean Parajon, for each of you, your bond is going to be set at $3,000. That's going to be a signature bond through pretrial services, level 1. You are to have no further violent contact with each other. And both of you are going to enroll in a domestic violence intervention program. Within 45 days of being released, you are both to enroll in such a program. It is 24 weeks long. And upon enrolling, you will finish all 24 weeks of classes and then provide your certificate of completion to your pretrial officer. This is not an adjudication of the case. This does not close your case out. Your case will still remain open and pending until the prosecution decides whether they want to pursue this matter. So please keep in mind that until the prosecution dismisses this case or your case goes to trial, you are still to comply with the conditions of the bond. Both cases are going to be further noticed. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. That concludes my business before the court today. May I be excused?
Yes, Ms. McLeod. Have a good day. Thank you.
You too. Thank you. You're welcome.
Next, we have position number 15, Ms. Vaughn. Ms. Vaughn.
This is State versus Tamika Shanette Vaughn, case number 24CR6817D. Ms. Vaughn has been arrested for driving while license suspended or revoked and giving false information to an officer from June 12, 2024. Ms. Vaughn, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. McLean. Any priors, Mr. Howard?
28, resident of North Carolina, wanted out of Cobb in Douglas County. Got open shoplifting, use of communication facility, and commission of a felony involving a controlled substance. Something about intimidate law enforcement or immediate family in retaliation. I've never seen that charge before. On probation out of Cobb for shoplifting. Should have gone to FS today. I'm not sure what the bond was. 2023 FTA, 2015 possession of a controlled substance conviction, 2014 assault conviction.
Thank you.
I found out what the bond was.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Ms. Allen?
Your Honor, this incident initially occurred in June on the 12th. At about 4:15 on Lee Street, the defendant was observed driving a burgundy Hyundai. The license plate was run and it was identified as registered to the defendant and that she had active warrants. A traffic stop was initiated and the person driving the car said her name was Brenda Goodman. And she said she didn't have her license on her person. The registered owner of the vehicle was also linked to an individual who had a revocation of a specific type of permit in Georgia and an out-of-state suspension. That's, I'm guessing, from North Carolina. She was ultimately let go. And then on the 2nd of October, the same vehicle was seen by the same officer on Delow Drive. This time it was being driven by a black male. Again, the vehicle was run. It was seen to have no insurance, as well as the suspended registration and the prior issues. The licensed registered owner was not in fact licensed. So police followed this car into the parking lot at the Church's Chicken. Mrs. Tamika Vaughn was seen going inside the location. Police made contact with her. She was detained and fingerprinted and ultimately identified as the defendant, not the false name Brenda Goodman person she gave police on June the 12th. So that's one charge. And also she's charged with driving without a license. She was taken into custody on October the 2nd, Your Honor. She was also seen to have those active warrants. We'd be asking for $1,000 surety, no driving without a license, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons, Your Honor.
The felonies, 10,000 good.
All right, thank you. Mr. McLean?
Well, Your Honor, I had planned to argue for a signature bond and $10,000 good bond on the felony. My argument might fail. I would ask the court still to consider the signature bond concept because she will go to those holds, and I explained to her that she should Google and look up detainer letter under Georgia statutes. So we would ask the court to consider a signature bond, and because of the nature of the charges, she is home. She's been home. She is homeless for 5 years, but she does have a good phone number that works, and she keeps it charged up.
Okay. On the driving while license suspended is $1,000 and the giving false information is $1,000. The total bond is going to be 2,000 surety, reset to October 17. And if she makes bond, she will be released to only the Cobb County or the Douglas County hold, whoever picks her up first. No driving, and we will see her in court on October 17. Thank you. Next case, please.
Next, we have position number 12, Ms. Richardson.
All right, Ms. Champion, you can bring in the individual, Ms. Taylor, from the breakout room, from the waiting room, please.
He's no longer in the waiting room, Your Honor.
Yes, all right, guess she got bored. All right. This is State versus Veronica Richardson. Case number 24 CR 6828B. Ms. Richardson, you are charged with battery family violence from October 2nd, 2024. You have a right to remain silent. Anything you say in open court, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney, and representing you is going to be Mr. Michael McLean. Do you see your attorney, Mr. McLean, on the screen? Mr. McLean, if you could wave your hand. All right, good. Thank you. Any priors, Mr. Howard?
20. Last 2012 driving without a valid license, no low. 2011 FTA probation.
Thank you. Ms. Allen?
Thank you, Your Honor. This is an incident that occurred on October the 2nd. Police were called to 2610 MLK Junior Drive Southwest at about 10:45 p.m. On scene, police discovered that there had been a dispute. They made contact with the victim, Mrs. Yolanda Taylor, who is hearing impaired. She was inside a Grady ambulance at the time being checked. She had a visible abrasions and scratches to her throat and a scratch on her leg. She reported that she'd been staying at the location for a period of time. We have spoken with her. That's a 2-week period of time. She had returned to the location, and someone there named Carlos was furious to see her. Hadn't been aware that she was staying there, and grabbed her and strangled her. The defendant in front of you also jumped in and grabbed Mrs. Yolanda by the throat and strangled her. We did a strangulation assessment. This is not a case that will be transferred. It's a battery. We initially charged family violence, Your Honor, but since she was only staying at the location for a 2-week period, we filed an amendment. So this is just a battery, not a battery family violence. This is a jealousy issue. The defendant in front of you actually spontaneously uttered in front of police that she suffers from dementia and that she has rages, and that she admitted during this utterance that she had strangled the victim. We're asking for a surety bond, Your Honor, and no violent contact, assuming that the victim will not be returning to that location.
I'm here.
Miss Yolanda Taylor, can you hear me?
Yes, that's me. I'm here.
All right. Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing impaired. I have to put my phone to my ear.
All right. Could you please raise your right hand and swear that the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, ma'am.
Miss Taylor, are you planning? You can put your hand up. Are you planning to return to the 2610 Martin Luther King Jr.
No,
Drive?
I need to get I need orders for me to pick up my things. She took my stuff out of my bag and she accused me of taking things from her and I told her I did not bother anything.
Where,
And she put me out without any notice. So I just want my stuff.
where is your stuff?
Okay, I don't know. She put it back in her apartment and I have food in her refrigerator.
How you doing, ma'am? This is her daughter. My name is Miss Renisha Richardson. I'm on the Zoom with
I'm
you
sorry,
all.
I cannot see you, so unfortunately, we won't be able to address you.
Hold on one second. Okay.
We cannot see you.
I'm sorry. I'm at work, ma'am. I'm so sorry. I have to.
Take your
I'm
phone
at
and
work.
take your phone and go outside. I can't have you doing this and addressing this case.
Okay.
Is there any way that I can get something in black and white of this meeting because I can't hear.
Go
I
ahead.
can't hear too well and I'm not understanding what's being said.
Yeah, what-
Miss Taylor, can you hear me? I'm Judge Law. Can you hear
Yes,
me?
yeah. I would have to put my phone to my ear, but yes, I can hear you. I can see.
Do you have a key to get into the apartment?
No, she never gave me a key. I never had a key.
How did you get in the last time?
I get in from when she leaves the door unlocked, or either sometimes if I leave and I'm there, she'll give me the key out and I'll let myself back in and I'll put it on the cabinet to give it back to her.
How did
And
you?
I've given her over $300 altogether for staying there, and she put me out without a notice.
Now you have to be quiet and listen very carefully. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
You can put the phone to your ear and listen very carefully.
Okay.
Mr. McLean, anything to add?
Your Honor, I would ask the court to consider a signature bond that would assist in the notion that her social security check would not be cut off. She is she's got a stable address, stable phone number, and I'm planning to have a social worker visit, whether it's in jail or the day after she's released, if Your Honor were to grant a signature bond. But at any rate, I know who her doctor is, and we plan to follow up with social.
Miss Richardson, my name is Judge Law. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you understand me?
Yes, ma'am.
You're going to receive a release bond of $2,000. It's a signature bond through pretrial services, level 1. You have to report to pretrial services once a month. This is a misdemeanor criminal case that is pending against you, and it is an open case. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
And you must attend court when you are summoned. You're also to have no violent contact with Yolanda Taylor. In other words, you cannot be violent with Yolanda Taylor.
Yes. I have that right there.
Miss Taylor, I've told you to listen and don't say anything.
Yes, ma'am.
Miss Richardson, do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Miss Yolanda Taylor, you are allowed to go back to the house at 2610 Martin Luther King Jr. Drive one time with a police officer to retrieve your belongings.
Okay, what time will this be?
You can
I
go.
have to be at work in Douglasville. I'm a caregiver. And I have a client. I have to be there by 5, and it takes me 30 minutes to drive out there. So I have to go take care of her. So I have to leave at least by 3:30.
Miss Yolanda Taylor, you will go to the apartment on Saturday, 10 a.m. in the morning with a police officer, and you have 1 hour to get all your stuff.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Miss Richardson, you have to make sure you are home on Saturday, October 5th in the morning for Miss Taylor to come and get her belongings. Do you understand?
Ma'am.
Case is further notice. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is number 7, Ms. Jones.
Ms. Champion, you can remove Yolanda Taylor. Thank you. I seem to have a lot of iPhones there. This is Sandra Jones, accused of criminal trespass. Is this Sandra Jones? Yeah. Ms. Jones, case number is 24CR6829C. Incident date is October 3rd of this year. Ms. Jones, you've been advised of your rights and your attorney is Mr. McLean. Any priors?
23.
Mr. Cook.
That's my client, Your Honor.
Oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Cook is your appointed counsel. 23 cycles. Any open cases?
2023 trespass. I don't have that case number. They just put the booking number on here. 2019 disorderly conduct conviction. 2018 ag assault, no bill. 2014 trespass obstruction conviction. And she has a bench warrant.
Thank you. Miss Allen?
I apologize. This is Miss Jones.
Yes, Sandra Jones, position 7.
I believe this is Miss Desiano's case.
Miss Desiano, are you? Yes, position.
Hold on.
It's Miss Allen's case, but
Which,
This
hold
is
on. Sandra Jones.
Yeah, at the Little Bear Food Mart.
I apologize. This is a criminal trespass case at 1600 Jonesboro Road.
Yes.
Mrs. Jones had been previously trespassed from the location multiple times. We're asking for $1,000 surety, Your Honor. Stay away, have no contact, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons, and an MHET.
Mr. Cook?
Your Honor, I'm not sure if she's ever been convicted of a criminal trespass. And another record said she'd been trespassed in the warrant. She has no job, no prospects of a job. We would be seeking a signature bond if she's eligible, if she's there long enough in jail, we would want to start out with the BHET and then let the social workers kind of make the determination of the next step.
All right. This is going to be $1,000 surety bond. And if she makes bond, she'll only be released to the APD hold. I believe she's got an APD hold at the present time. And her next court date is going to be October 17th to stay away from the Little Bear Food Mart at 1660 Jonesboro Road in Atlanta, Georgia. Thank you.
Your Honor, just for my clarification purposes, the statement about if she's still in the jail, could we get an order for a BHET, please?
I don't normally order these evaluation programs unless this is a domestic violence situation. So if the defense argues that she should get one, they can definitely have her evaluated by a social worker.
So we would ask for a social worker visit, Your Honor.
I can request it. I can't.
You can definitely request it, Mr. McLean. I'm sorry, Mr. Cook. And as the PD office, the social workers will respond.
Yes, I usually get there within 24 hours, so she may very well be there with a surety bond. Yeah.
But if she does make bond, she will only be released to the APD hold that I see at the present time on her killings.
Sure.
All right. And she needs to stay 200 yards away from the Little Bear Food Mart. She's not welcome at that location. Thank you.
I got a question. State, did you have the same history I had, the 23 cycles?
Yes, I do see.
Okay.
There's a significant history that includes violence and drugs.
Because I didn't see Tamir. I got to do that one. Okay.
That's an NOD, I believe.
Okay.
Ms. Desi.
Tamir's not an NOD. The cross defendant's an NOD.
I'm so talking. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Who should I address next?
We're all set with
Yes, Miss Sandra Jones has a $1,000 surety bond with a release to her current hold.
Okay.
And to not return to the Little Bear Food Mart.
Next we'll go with position number 8, Mr. Tamir Jones.
And is Mr. Tamir Jones a case all by itself, right? I didn't know what was all that discussion about.
Yes, and originally, I think the cross defendant was arrested, but apparently, there's been an NOD.
Okay. Mr. Tamir Jones is accused of simple battery family violence from September 29th of this year. Case is 24 CR 6820Y. Mr. Jones, you have been advised of your rights, and your attorney is going to be Mr. Cook. Any priors?
I'm gonna defer to the state. I don't have that one.
All right, Ms. Desiano, do you have his GCIC?
Yes, Your Honor. He has 4 cycles out of Georgia, a 2020 conviction for disorderly conduct that appears to be first offender. He has an arrest from May 1st for battery family violence that is probably open in Forsyth County. He has an open aggravated assault, terroristic threats, and simple assault case in Superior Court, where he's actually been ordered to stay away from this address. And then this case, of course. This incident took place on September 29th. The incident location is 3100 River Exchange Drive, apartment 521. Officers responded to a domestic dispute. The officer also noted in the warrant that since August 28th of this year, they have been called out to this incident location 8 separate times for verbal and physical disputes, all of a domestic nature. The defendant was previously arrested at this address for aggravated assault in 2023. He's currently out on a $41,000 surety bond, and his bond conditions do state that he is supposed to stay away from this location. That bond order was entered in July of last year. This location has several residents that live in this apartment, Your Honor. The defendant and his girlfriend live there. The defendant's mother lives there. The defendant's grandmother lives there. The defendant's sister lives there with her child. There may also be a brother that lives there, Karan Clark. I believe he's on the Zoom, actually. We may want to ask him because he's the victim in the aggravated assault case where the defendant is ordered to have no contact. This is a dispute between the defendant and his mother. Both parties were arrested. We have reviewed the case. We did NOD. Mom's case determined that the defendant is the primary aggressor in the situation. The mom is Lola Millian. She's the victim. She stated that her son was moving a chair from the living room to the balcony. Mom was apparently in the way. He was trying to get around her. He ran over her foot. There was a verbal argument that started over the defendant moving out. Apparently, he's been asked several times to move out and has not. Mom, at the time of this incident, was holding her grandbaby. She told the police that the defendant got on her. She shoved him off. Tried to shield the baby that she was holding. The defendant punched her in the ear with a closed fist, at which point the victim did hit him back and the defendant started spitting on her. The victim actually went to the hospital because after she was hit, her ears were ringing quite badly. Your Honor, we're asking for a $5,000 surety bond. As far as contact is concerned, we'll defer to the court for contact with mom. However, we would recommend and insist that he does stay away from this address. We're also asking for family violence intervention, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol. And Your Honor, I don't believe the victim's going to be on the line because she may still be incarcerated. However, I do see a Karan Clark, who I believe is the defendant's brother, who's the victim in the aggravated assault case. Thank you.
All right. Karan Clark, did you want to contribute to these proceedings?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, you can, but we can't see you. You need to have your video on.
Sorry about that.
Mr.
The only
Clark,
thing that
your right hand.
me.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
On 26th of July, 2023, your brother Tamir, is it Tamir Jones? Is that your brother?
Yes.
Was not allowed to live at 3100 or 2100 River Exchange Drive.
Yes.
Okay. So it's a bit of a curiosity why he's at that location. Do you have anything else to add?
Yes. After the incident where he was initially arrested, I did have the police, they took him to jail and then he was released on bond. He came back, I want to say a few weeks later, against my wishes. but my grandma allowed him to come back, and I did have another incident with him where I called the police and I wanted him, removed. It was about 2 weeks later, I want to say. I'm not 100% positive. But I told them he's got an order for bond, that he's not supposed to be at the address. And I told them I had a video of the court hearing, and they did not want to see it. I didn't have the paper, but I do now. I went to the DA's office a few days ago. I do have that actual order for bond and all the information on it. But I was only able to get that a couple of days ago. If you're asking anything about like my
No,
case and what I would,
that's all I needed to know. Thank you so much, Mr. Clark. You're free to mute your screen. Mr. Cook, anything else to add?
My client's 25 years old, Your Honor. He does delivery for a medical equipment company, so he has a very modest income. It's a very mixed up situation. I understand the prior order, but a lot of folks living in that house or whatever it is. So he has some concern for his grandmother, who apparently owns the house, if I understood the witness to be correct. So given that, he can certainly stay away. He can certainly have no contact. He would, if possible, I don't know how long he's been away from that location. We would like a law enforcement escort to gather so we can gather any of his belongings. Beyond that, we would leave it in the discretion of the court. Again, emphasizing his modest income.
Understood. Bond is going to be set at $3,000. It's going to be a cash bond only. This reflects not only Mr. Jones' failure to comply with the court orders, but the high likelihood to reoffend, especially among family members. He is to stay away from 3100 River Exchange Drive, especially apartment 521 in Peachtree Corners. He's not allowed within 200 yards of that entire complex. He's not allowed to have a one-time visit. That is off the table. No illegal drugs, no alcohol, and no weapons. And the prosecutor's office is to notify the district attorney's office with regards to its violation of case number of the bond order in 23 CP 220454. Thank you. Next court date is October 17.
Next, we have position number 2, Mr. Johnny Davis. Just give us 1 second. Come on, Mr. Page. Hold on. Come on, come on. Come on. I'm sorry, Your Honor. Mr. Davis is blind. I have to guide
No
him.
problem.
Come on, I got you. Come on. No, come on. I got you. I can move sit. Come on. You can sit. You can sit right now. Sit. There you go. All right. We have position number 2, Mr. Johnny Davis.
All right. Mr. Davis, my name is Judge Law, and you are attending a virtual hearing, which means that I am seeing you through a computer screen.
Yes, ma'am.
You have been arrested and charged with a misdemeanor case with 2 offenses: simple battery, family violence, and criminal trespass from August 20th, 2024. Your case number is 24 CR 006819F. Please remember, as a defendant in a criminal case, you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say in open court, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney, and your defense attorney is Mr. Keith Cook. Do you recall speaking to a Mr. Keith Cook?
Today.
Say it again.
Like earlier today. Yes.
Okay. Mr. Howard, other than the
That was the last arrest, so.
all right, anything, so total, how many cycles?
16. I got 16 total.
So the last arrest was in 2002.
Correct.
All right, thank you. Ms. Desiano?
Your Honor, this incident happened on August 20th. Officers responded to 495 Glendalough Place in Atlanta regarding a dispute. The victim in this case is the defendant's nephew. It is, his name is Freddie Boyd. The defendant, apparently these folks live together. However, they live in separate areas of the home because they don't get along. Apparently the nephew came into an area that he was not supposed to come into. And he said something to the effect of, you need to get out of, who told you you can come out of the mother effing garage. The victim was on the phone with his pastor at the time. The defendant said, basically, I don't give a F who you're talking to, and then backhanded him in the face, causing the victim's glasses to fall and break. At that point, the victim told the defendant, essentially, you can't keep hitting people and expecting that you won't get hit back, and punched the defendant square in the face in self-defense. He did sustain a pretty serious eye injury from that punch. He was hospitalized. I believe the defendant is actually who called the police. After speaking with both parties, the police did determine that it was clear the defendant was the primary aggressor. Your Honor, his last arrest was some time ago. However, it was for manslaughter, and he did spend some time in the DOC for that. So we are asking for a surety bond, $2,000 surety bond, no contact and stay away, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol. We have been in touch with Mr. Boyd. He states that since this incident, there has not been violence. However, he did state that this is not the first time the police have been involved with their family. He's violent, and this is the first time he's been arrested for violence against him. He states that they have been living together since this time and there has been no violence. So he is requesting no violent contact. Of course, Your Honor, there's a concern for the way this house is set up where they're essentially just avoiding each other. There's a concern that this could happen again. So we would ask for no contact and a stay away. And if Your Honor can sound for Mr. Freddie Boyd, thank you.
Freddie Boyd, are you on the Zoom? You can unmute and start your video if you want to contribute. All right, Mr. Cook.
I'm sorry, I missed the amount and type of bond recommendation.
It's a surety bond that they're recommending.
Your Honor, my client is 68. I don't know the layout of the apartment unless he's a great actor. He's obviously has some significant physical infirmities. I'm so happy that the nephew exercised his stand your ground rights and hit him back. That's great. He has no place to go. They have been there now since the incident with since this incident with no further incident. We would object to the stay away and the no further contact. We do not object to no further violent contact. Given his complete lack of income, from what I can determine, we would be seeking a signature bond if he's eligible. The initial paperwork I had it listed as a simple assault, which didn't really make sense given the warrant, but I understand now it's a simple battery, family violence. He denies the allegations as stated in the warrant, Your Honor. Nothing further.
Mr. Davis, are you comfortable within your home or in the jail, given your challenges, vision challenges?
I'm comfortable in my home because I got I can't see. I have had eye drops and antibiotics. Then I got high blood pressure. I have nothing.
Mr. Davis, I just asked you whether you're comfortable in your home or your jail. I don't need an accounting of medical.
I'm comfortable in my home. No problem in my home.
And Mr. Davis, I'm going to give you a bond, but if you don't comply with the conditions, then you take the matter out of my hands and you'll be back in jail. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to put these conditions on, but don't give me a reason to bring you back to jail.
Yes, ma'am.
You are charged with 2 criminal offenses and you are required to come back to court. So make sure you get arrangements to come back to court when you are summoned. On the simple battery family violence, it's going to be $1,500. On the criminal trespass, it's going to be $1,000. Your total bond is going to be $2,500. Signature bond through the jail. And you need to make arrangements to call your defense attorney at the public defender's office to make sure when your next court date is, if you have difficulty reading your mail.
That's,
You are to have no violent contact with Freddie Boyd. In other words, you cannot have any physical violence against him.
oh,
You
no,
can't-
ma'am, no, ma'am, no,
You-
ma'am.
You
We
can't,
get along.
you need to listen.
Oh, I'm sorry.
If you don't listen, then I'll just keep you in jail.
I'm sorry, ma'am.
You are to have no physical violence with Freddie Boyd. You are not to have any verbal violence, no cussing, no profanities. And if there's any such arguments, physical or verbal, and the police get involved, then you are back in jail. And the next time you come back to jail, I want you to remember one thing. That will be all on you. Understood?
Yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am.
Make sure you keep in touch with your attorney. Mr. Cook, I'm not sure what resources you have to let your clients who have vision challenges to keep up with their court dates, unless he has the methodology to keep up with his mail.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted to address with him, and I hope he's listening. Our system works this way now. We handle all the first appearance hearings unless somebody has an attorney. We don't qualify anybody for these hearings. We don't qualify them now again until they appear at the next court proceeding. So we would not get a notice of his next court proceeding. He has to be aware of that, and somebody has to be reading his mail. And then if he wants to reapply with us, he can do that.
Mr. Davis, today is October 3rd.
Yes, ma'am.
Next Thursday, October 10th, I want you to make arrangements to come down to the courthouse and apply for the public defender's office.
Yes, ma'am.
You need to have someone come in, because if you don't apply, then you'll need to hire your own attorney.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Good luck, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Ready, set, up. 1, 2, 3. Come on, I got you. Okay. Got a wheelchair. Turn around.
Please be seated. What's your name, please?
Leroy Williams. This
William?
is position number 16, Mr. Williams.
Thank you. This is State versus Leroy Williams, 24 CR 6821G. Mr. Williams is accused of battery, family violence, and simple battery, family violence from August 13th, 2024. His accusation number is 24 CR 6821G, and you've been advised of your right, and your attorney is Mr. Cook. Oh, is that correct, Mr. Cook?
No, that would be Mr. McLean, I believe.
Okay, sorry. Your attorney is Mr. Michael McLean. Any
25, 2024 shoplifting, obstruction. That's out of DeKalb County. 2017 suspended license, 2016 probation and DUI. 2015 possession of a firearm by convicted felon, theft by taking conviction, and a 09 simple battery conviction.
We got to stay.
Ms. Allen?
Thank you, Your Honor. This was an initial report from, excuse me.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. I'm sorry to interrupt. We have an emergency going on in the jail. We have to clear the courtroom.
All right, sir. We will resume when you come back in. Thank you.
All right, I apologize.
No problem.
Okay, yes, sir. Come on, everybody in the back, you have to go. You have to go in the back. You have to go in the back. Let's go. Get up, you have to go in the back. Let's go.
Deputy, if you want to mute courtroom 2 or stop the video while you handle the emergency, thank you. Ms. Champion or Ms. Bridgewater, do you know if we have any other cases or other locations? Mr. Clark, you're free to go. You can leave the Zoom.
Sorry, 1 second.
Oh, Ms. Champion, you can help him? All right. iPhone 100, iPhone 4, please, and Justin, please start your video. Ms. Champion, can you prompt these individuals to start their video and unmute? Justin, iPhone 100 and iPhone 4. All right, Mr. Justin, what's your last name? You forgot his last name?
Linton.
What's your last name?
Linton.
Fuck. How do you spell it?
Lenton.
And why are you on this proceeding today? Who's the defendant?
Tierra Taylor.
Okay. Who's representing Tiara Taylor?
I don't see a Taylor. We got Taylor?
I don't see a Taylor. Mr. Justin, there is no Taylor on this calendar.
You sure?
We were misinformed.
It wasn't on the original pull list this morning either, so.
There is no Tiara Taylor on this calendar.
Can we verify if it's for tomorrow?
What's your person's full name?
Tierra Danielle Taylor.
And what's her birthday?
November 29th,
Year?
1998.
And what are the charges?
Battery.
Taylor or
Yes, ma'am.
Tiara is Tiara?
It's Tyhiera.
Okay, Tyhiera. And date of birth is November 29. Miss Tiara Taylor is charged with battery in case number 24-5897. Let's see if I have a booking number. She may be addressed tomorrow at 2 o'clock if she has not cleared intake.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Now, I don't know, I'm just checking right now.
Oh,
Okay, her booking number is 2417135. She was booked in today. Let me see what's.
I'm running a report, Your Honor, to see if she's on our pull sheet for tomorrow.
Her intake hasn't been completed yet. All right, most likely it'll be tomorrow at 2 o'clock.
tomorrow too. Okay, thank you.
All right, you're free to go. All right, Justin, you're free to go as well. That leaves me with.
She's not sick. So she's not seeing the judge today.
No, she's not on our calendar today. She can be detained at the jail for up to 72 hours following arrest. So we will see her tomorrow.
Okay.
All right, anyone else on, that was another iPhone, but that person left? Okay. Miss Champion or Miss Bridgewater, do you know if there are any other individuals on other locations like ACDC?
I don't see any, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Cook, are there any defendants whose appearances have been waived or you're asking for a reset? Anyone on the
I
calendar?
do show one waived.
Which one?
It is
The last one, Williamson.
Williamson.
Okay, that's your case, Mr. McLean?
Yes, Your Honor, I've submitted that already and forwarded that to y'all.
Okay. And are there any other clients, Mr. McLean or Mr. Cook, whose appearances have been reset if you've not been able to speak to them or whatever reason?
None from me, Your Honor.
Mr. McLean?
Nope, not
Okay.
at all.
So let's address position number 17, Ambrose Williamson, case 24CR 006-801G. And Mr. Williamson's been accused of criminal trespass from October 1st, 2024, under accusation 24CR 6801G. And Mr. Howard, any priors on Ms. Williamson?
Third adult. Last arrest was in July. Trespass, obstruction. I think that's your bond. That's a pretrial bond. 24 CR 004 366G. 2021 simple battery DV conviction.
Okay, thank you.
Your Honor, that bond,
Go ahead.
for this gentleman's current open case is for the same location. He's prohibited from going back to the Chevron gas station at 2656 Donald Lee Hollowell. So that's open case is the same location as the current case in front of you. This is an incident from the 1st of October at 10 or 11:15 p.m. Excuse me. He was on the property at the Chevron gas station there on Donald Lee Holloway, excuse me. And the documentation notes he'd been criminally trespassed from the place multiple times, actually by the same officer from the first Darren Washington. And he has that open case for criminal trespass and obstruction, same location, 24 CR 004 366G. We'd ask for a $2,000 surety, Your Honor. Stay away from the location, no contact with anyone there at the location, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond.
Mr. McLean?
Your Honor, I've gotten the social worker visit started. I've informed the social worker of what the defendant's needs are. I'm aware of the previous case, which they just got a letter in the mail saying that they're supposed to show up on that other case on, I think, October 27th. And maybe we'll be ramped up on meds by then and be able to have a good SAP.
All right. He presently has the other open case that's scheduled before Judge Mather on October 22nd, but I think we'll be seeing him at SAP on October 17th. Bond for this new case is $1,000, and that's going to be a surety bond. Next court date is going to be October 17th at 9 a.m. And he's to stay away from the Chevron gas station at 2656 Donald Lee Hollowell Parkway. Also, his signature bond in case 24 CR 004 366G is going to be surrendered and amended to a $2,000 surety bond. Same conditions apply. So we will see him for both cases on October 17th. Thank you.
Okay, Your Honor.
To the gentleman.
Yes, position number 16.
Yes, Mr. Leroy. Yes, Mr. Leroy Williams. Okay. We've had the history of 25 cycles. And Ms. Allen, did you have a recommendation for Leroy Williams?
Yes, Your Honor. First, there seems to be a mistake. This gentleman actually has two cases that should be on our calendar today, and I'll explain. What you have in front of you is position 16. There are two counts from August the 13th. If you look in the documentation for that case, there was an initial report made on August the 6th. So police had responded to this location, 942 Washington Place Southwest, on the 6th of August and spoke to the victim then, Rachel Walker. She was seen to have a busted, bloody, swollen lip at that time. This was 11 p.m. on the 6th of August. She reported that she lives with the defendant and they'd had an argument and he assaulted her. When investigator Onyemachi from APD followed up with this victim, he saw that there'd been a second incident, and that is August the 13th. Again, police went to the same location. They actually responded to the Circle K at 343 Joseph E. Lowry, where the victim had fled. She fled from 942 Washington Place Southwest after being assaulted by the defendant. She was seen to have a bloody head laceration. She was treated on the scene by EMS and transported to the hospital. She reported that they'd been at the zoo that day. They argued. Once they got home, he punched her in her head, causing this laceration on her head, and he pulled her hair. She was able to leave and run to the convenience store to call 911. And so we actually filed down a case for August the 6th and a case for August the 13th today, Your Honor. We've tried to get in touch with Mrs. Walker today, but have not been successful at this point. The defendant does have a significant criminal history out of California, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, and Georgia. The majority of his convictions are for theft, including felonies, DUIs, and drugs. Forgery, financial transaction card fraud, possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony and by a convicted felon. He's got a open shoplifting out of DeKalb. He was just arrested on August 31st for that and obstruction. We'd be asking for a $4,000 surety bond. Since you only have one case in front of you today, we'll ask for it on that case. But just to be candid, there is a whole another 24 CR case that we filed down today. We'd ask for no contact, to stay away from the location. Again, that's 942 Washington Place Southwest. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. Thank you.
Ms. Champion, have you got the new accused case for Mr. Leroy Williams for one count of battery family violence stemming from August 6, 2024?
Your Honor, let me check. Hold on one second.
All right. While we're waiting, Mr. McLean, do you have a bond recommendation for the August 13th? Looks like there was, I don't know, I've never seen this, a compound warrant for multiple incident dates set forth like that. But
No, there were multiple warrants that came in, and there are multiple cases. The only one that ended up on our docket was the 13th. There's a separate case for the 6th and separate warrants as well.
yes, you're correct. There is a separate warrant now. Okay, I see that. But he's just listed everything all in one warrant.
Correct.
Okay, so Mr. McLean, what's your recommendation for the battery family violence? And looks like it's another count of simple battery from August 13th.
Your Honor, administratively, let me answer a question first that you didn't ask exactly. Administratively, would it be possible for me just to speak to bond for both cases together, and even if we had to waive the other?
You can speak to both. I'm just waiting for the accusation number to come in so that Ms. Bridgewater can do the bond order.
Okay. Well, Your Honor, he asked me very specifically. He realizes what his arrest history is. However, he would like the court to consider a signature bond, given that he is a chef at he's in the hospitality industry. He's a chef at one place and he's a chef at another place. He's working 2 jobs. He's been doing that a couple of years. Before that, he was chef at a culinary arts matter, and he managed a cafe. So he's always been cooking. He's a graduate of Monroe High School in Albany, Georgia, and he has stable address, phone numbers, the whole 9 yards there, so he's very local now. He has been out of the state during parts of his adult life, of course. For that reason, we'd ask the court to consider a signature bond or a very low surety bond.
Would that be 24 CR, Ms. Champion?
Yes, I'm sorry, Your Honor, it's 24.
Just want to be sure. So the new accusation for Mr. Leroy Williams is 24 CR 006-830G.
What charge is that?
This is one count of battery family violence from August 6, 2024.
It's actually battery, family violence, and simple battery, family violence.
Oh, it's another count of simple battery? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So that's a total of 4 charges. Courtroom 2, unmute.
2 charges per case, right?
Great. So, Mr. Williams, I don't want you to look perplexed, so I'm going to explain this to you. There are 2 warrants, 2 arrest warrants against you, one for August 6, 2024, and one for August 13th, 2024.
This happened last year. These are from last year.
Your Honor,
So you're right. August 13th is the 2023 incident.
And it's just 2 cases, Your Honor.
And let me make sure.
Yes, ma'am. Because I was locked up in,
Okay, August 6th. Great. So both incidences are 2023. So there's a typo on the calendar. So one is from August 6th of 2023. One is from August 13th of 2023. 2 separate warrants. Do you understand, sir?
it's not 4 charges, right?
Listen very carefully.
Yes, ma'am.
From each warrant, the prosecution can add 1 or more charges as long as the allegations are supported by the warrant. So for each warrant, they have accused you of 2 charges per day. So for the August 6th, the case number is 24 CR 006-830G, battery, family violence, and simple battery, family violence for the same alleged victim, Rachel Walker.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Yes, ma'am.
And for this second case, 24 CR 6821G, it is two charges from 1 warrant, battery, family violence, and simple battery, family violence for the incident date of August 13th, 2023. Do you follow me, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Given the fact that both cases involve family violence, you have a history of 25 arrest cycles, some of which involve violent offenses, as well as the fact that you have been previously convicted of possession of firearm by a convicted felon. The court is going to issue the bonds as follows. For the case that is on our calendar ending in 6821G, on the battery, family violence is going to be $2,500, and the simple battery is $1,000. That's a $3,500 surety bond to have no further contact with Rachel Walker, to stay away from 992 Washington, 942.
That's my house. That's my house. You don't stay with me.
Stay away from 942 Washington Place in Atlanta, Georgia. You are allowed a one-time visit to that location with a police officer. If the police officer verifies that Rachel Walker does not live at that location, you may return to that location. You are not to consume any illegal drugs, no alcohol, and you're not allowed to own any weapons or any firearms. If you have any firearms, that would not only be a violation due to your status as a convicted felon, but also you would need to surrender them to the authorities for destruction. In the second case, 24 CR 006-830G, battery, family violence, and simple battery, family violence, the bond is going to be the same, 2,500 surety for battery and 1,000 for the simple battery for a total of 3,500. Same bond conditions, no further contact with Rachel Walker, to stay away from 942 Washington Place unless it's verified from a one-time visit that she no longer lives there. Your next court date for both cases is going to be October 17th. If you do make bond, please make sure that you keep in touch with your court appearances by making sure that your address and your contact information are all correct and true. Thank you.
Is there 2 separate bonds? No, just one. Just one, okay. Well,
Your total bond is $7,000.
next we have position number 6, Mr. Johnson.
Jartavius Johnson, case number is 24 CR 6826J, accused of theft of lost mislaid property and willful obstruction of an officer from October 2nd of this year. Mr. Johnson, you've been advised of your rights, and your attorney is Mr. Cook. Any priors, Mr. Howard?
Third adult arrest, 2024 shoplifting. Failure to yield right away at crosswalk obstruction, possession of a Schedule 5 controlled substance. That's 24 PI 005396. Appears to be on probation, unlawful participation in criminal street gang. 23 SC 191939.
191939?
191939. Yes,
And that's 23 SC.
correct. That's it.
And Your Honor, in addition to the gang charges, he's on first offender for felony theft by receiving and entering auto in that case as well. This is an incident that took place on October 2nd, 260 Fulton Street. Officers were trying to detain the defendant. He had a warrant out for his arrest. The police approached him. He fled on foot. Officers told him to stop several times. He did not. He was apprehended. Search incident to arrest. They found a credit card in his pocket with the victim's name, Amanda Collins, who reported that her card was stolen out of her vehicle on September 20th, 2024. The defendant was Mirandized. He did tell the officers that he found the card in the park. We're seeking a $1,000 surety on each count. No weapons, drugs, or alcohol. Thank you.
Mr. Cook, any objection to $1,000 surety?
No, just, well, we would add that he's 19 years old. He tells me he's attending Riverdale High School, has no job, has no income. Beyond that, we would leave it in the court's discretion.
All right. Given his open probation case as well as his felony conviction, the bond is set at $500 on each count. It's $1,000 surety, no contact with the victim. Stay away from 260 Fulton Street, Atlanta, Georgia. And his next court date is going to be October 17th. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
That was the surety bond?
Surety, yes, 500 on each count.
All right, you're all set. Next, we have position number 3, Mr. Davis.
This is State versus Willie Davis, accused of battery family violence from May 12th of 2023, case number 24CR 6825J. Mr. Davis, you've been advised of your right to remain silent. Anything you choose to say in open court, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney, and representing you presently is Mr. Keith Cook. Any priors, please?
With the rest, 2011 suspended license, 04 battery DV first offender. That's it.
Judge, this incident took place about a year ago, May 12th of 2023. Officers responded to 1871 Plaza Lane, apartment E2, regarding a domestic. The victim is the defendant's girlfriend, Cherie Brooks. She called 911 to report that her boyfriend assaulted her. She states they got into an argument over some infidelity allegations, and during that argument, the defendant struck her in the mouth with a hand. With a closed fist, I'm sorry. And the officer notes that the victim was bleeding from her bottom lip. We have not been in touch with her today. We're asking for a signature bond, no contact, stay away, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol. And if Your Honor can sound for Ms. Brooks, thank you.
Cherie Brooks. All right. Mr. Cook, any objection to a signature bond through pretrial and no contact?
No objection, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Willie Davis, your bond is going to be set at $2,500. It's a signature bond through pretrial services. You can sign up for your bond today. You won't have to pay for it, but you will have to report to pretrial once a month. This will be a level 1. You are to attend and complete 1 anger awareness class with pretrial services. No contact with Cherie Brooks, and to stay away from wherever she happens to be living, working, and physically standing. You're not allowed to contact her via phone, in person, to a third party, and not discuss her on social media. Yes, sir. You need to unmute, Deputy.
Will I have that in writing, please?
I beg your pardon?
So will I be having that in writing to stay
It
away
won't
from?
be writing. It'll be a court order filed with the court.
Thank you, because that's what I've been looking for.
Oh, all right. Okay, thank you.
You're good. Next, we have position number 14, Mr. Smith.
Mr. Gary Smith's case is 24 CR 6816C. He's accused of battery from October 2nd of this year. Mr. Smith, you've been advised of your rights as well, and your attorney is Mr. Cook. Any priors, Mr. Howard?
It'll be me.
Sorry, Mr. McLean. Your attorney is Mr. McLean.
2020 trespass, criminal damage to property, obstruction that was dismissed, 2019 obstruction conviction. That's it.
Ms. Allen?
Thank you, Your Honor. This is an incident from the 2nd of October at about 2:30 p.m. Police were called to 2645 Old Milton Parkway in Alpharetta. That's a racetrack gas station. Police there responded to a panic alarm, and on scene they met with the employee. His name is Mr. Brooks. Excuse me, sorry. His name is Montez Brooks. He reported that the defendant is someone known to him, that they'd had encounters in the past. The defendant comes there frequently to steal and basically be belligerent and harass people. He's been asked to leave and stay away multiple times. Today, the defendant came to the location, and the victim had walked outside. And the minute he walked outside the location, the defendant approached and punched him in his mouth. He was seen to have a swollen, bloody upper lip. This was captured on surveillance camera footage. Police reviewed that footage. They also spoke to other employees on scene who reported, again, corroborating the victim, that he walked outside of the location and the defendant approached him immediately and punched him in his face. The defendant was seen to have scratches on his forehead. I believe the victim defended himself. He has criminal history out of Georgia and Virginia. Virginia, he has a conviction for violating a family violence order. His arrests here in Georgia are from 2019 and 2020, obstruction and criminal damage to property. We spoke to the victim today. He again says that this defendant comes to the location all the time to steal and be aggressive. He's aggressive with other employees. This is not the first time he's been an issue, but it has been the first time he's been violent. He's requesting no contact. We're asking for a $2,000 surety, Your Honor. Stay away from the location, the racetrack gas station at 2645 Old Milton Parkway in Alpharetta. No contact with the victim, Mr. Brooks, or anyone else who works there, and we'd ask for a BHET. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. Thank you.
All right, Mr. McLean?
Well, I'm definitely going to have a social worker visit him to see if a BHET ought to be started. The argument for a signature bond would basically consist of that he does have a stable address and he's reachable by friends by phone, and therefore would not, as far as any yellow factors goes, that he wouldn't miss court. And that would be our argument for a signature bond, Your Honor. Thank you.
Bond is set at $2,000. It is a surety bond. No further contact with Montez Brooks. He's to stay 200 yards away from Mr. Brooks and not approach him or communicate with him in any way, form, or manner. He is also to have no contact with any of the employees at the racetrack of 2645 Old Milton Parkway in Alpharetta, Georgia, and he's to stay 500 yards away from that location. If his next court date is going to be October 17th, and if he does make bond, he will need to comply with these conditions. Otherwise, the next time around, it will be with an ankle monitor. Thank you.
Come on, Brian's over again. No, come on. Hold us in the back. Next, we have position number 5, Mr. Henson.
Who is this again?
Emmanuel Hinson, position 5. Mr. Hinson? Are you Emmanuel Hinson?
Yes, ma'am. What?
All right, sir. Your case number is 24 CR 6822D. You have been accused of criminal trespass causing damage to property and willful obstruction of an officer. from October 2nd, 2024. Mr. Henson, you've been advised of your right to remain silent. Anything you say in open court, your statements can and will be used against you, and you have a right to an attorney. Representing you presently is Mr. Cook or Mr. McLean?
Mr. Cook.
Yes, it's me, Your Honor. Thank you. Sorry.
Any priors, Mr. Howell?
11. Last arrest was September 4th, obstruction, simple battery. On probation for obstruction, 24 SC 001924. That was as of May of this year. On probation for simple battery as of September, 24 CR 006276D. On probation out of Gwinnett, possession of a knife or a firearm during a commission. 2024 probation, 2023 riot battery conviction. 2020.
That's good. Thank you very much. Ms. Daciano?
Your Honor, this incident took place on October 2nd. Incident location is the Elliott Roswell Apartments, 1450 Rain Tree Crossing. Police were initially called out in reference to what they thought was a commercial burglary. The maintenance staff at the apartment advised the defendant had forced entry into 2 of their steel doors to gain access to a storage unit. And the police caught him frantically trying to collect his belongings from that unit. Once he was transported to the jail, he was put into a holding cell, and at that point, he refused to be handcuffed again to be moved. The officers, it took 3 of them to get him to comply. He was running around in circles, pulling his hands away, etc. He's got several priors for obstruction. We're asking for a $2,000 surety bond, Your Honor. Stay away from the Elliott Roswell Apartments. No weapons, drugs, or alcohol. Thank you.
Mr. Cook?
Yes, Your Honor, my client is 23 years old and homeless. And to be honest with you, that's all the information I have. So I would leave the rest of it to the discretion of the court.
Okay. On the criminal trespass is 1,000. On the willful obstructions, 1,000. His total bond is 2,000. It's a surety bond. Next court date is October 17. To stay 200 yards away from the entire apartment complex called the Elliott Roswell Apartments at 1450 Rain Tree Crossing. And no illegal drugs, no alcohol, no weapons. And his next court date is going to be October 17. Ms. Bridgewater, at that time, we will also address his other open case, 24 CR 006276D.
Your Honor, he was actually sentenced in that case on the SAP calendar on September 19th. So that case should be closed.
Okay,
Okay, so in that case, then we just have this one.
okay.
Next, we have position number 1, Mr. Bentley.
This is stated as James Bentley, accused of theft by shoplifting from September 9th of this year, 24 CR 68188. Mr. Bentley, you've been advised of your rights, and Mr. Cook is going to be your counsel. Any priors, please?
12, 2024 shoplifting. Got a 24 SC 004088.
004088, and that's
Correct.
a felony theft by shoplifting?
Correct.
All right, that's good. Thank
I
you.
got one more. Oh,
Okay,
got a criminal damage to property, 2nd degree. 24 SC 000412.
and these are 2 open cases.
Correct.
All right, that's good. Thank you. Ms. Daciano?
Your Honor, incident dates September 9th at the Dollar General off Old National Highway 4894 Old National. Defendant took shampoo and conditioner and body wash. He was asked to pay for his items and he refused. The manager of the location also noted that he had shoplifted the day before, but had come up with some kind of excuse as to why he couldn't pay, something about a chime card. In any event, he came back the next day and that's when they called the police. We're asking for a 1,000 surety, Your Honor. Stay away, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol. Thank you.
Mr. Cook?
Your Honor, my client is 33 years old. Don't have a lot of information about him, except that he's not working, and therefore any money bond would be difficult for him. But I understand that. I understand the background, so we'd have no objection to the recommendation.
It's $1,000 surety bond. Stay away from the Dollar General store in question, as well as all Dollar General stores. Unfortunately, such stores are not your personal closet. And your next court date is going to be October 17th. No illegal drugs, no alcohol, and no weapons. Thank you.
Next, we have position number 4, Mr. Felton.
This is Johnny Felton, whose case is 24 CR 006-827E. He is accused of criminal trespass from October 2nd of this year.
I had just left.
All right, sir. Well, in the meanwhile, we just have this information for you. So please remember that you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say in open court, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney, and representing you is Mr. Cook. Any priors?
50.
50 cycles? Okay.
Correct.
Any
On probation for entering auto. 23 SC 189032. 2024 trespass conviction. 2020 battery, disorderly conduct, public drunk conviction.
All right. Ms. Allen?
Thank you, Your Honor. The 2024 criminal trespass conviction is actually for the same location.
The Texaco at Lee Street?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
1 second. Thanks for being patient with me today. So yes, this is the Texaco at 1117 Lee Street here in Atlanta. He just pled guilty on July the 26th of 24. In that case, today, Officer Pollock on the 2nd of October responded to 1117 Lee Street Southwest and met with the clerk, who pointed out the defendant there on property, reported he'd been criminally trespassed previously. Officers approached the defendant and said he was being detained. He pulled away, was told he was not supposed to be on the property. He insisted that the police go inside and speak to the clerk. They walked the defendant inside to speak to the clerk. The clerk again advised Mr. Felton he was not supposed to be on the property, and he was taken into custody, Your Honor. We would ask for $1,000 surety, if not $2,000 at this point. Stay away from the location. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons, and we'd ask for a social worker visit and MHET. Let me see the terms of his current sentence. Both of them need to be reset with him should he be still with us for SAP.
Has he ever been on a competency calendar before, Mr. Cook?
Not that I know of, Your Honor.
All right. And Mr. Cook, what are you recommending?
We have no objection to believe it was $1,000 surety. Well, Jen and I always like to start out with a BHET and then move up from there. I think that how the people who work the process prefer. I suspect he'll still be around at SAP. He is 63 years old. There is an address he gave me, but there's also some indication that he's probably homeless, and we have nothing further.
All right. Mr. Felton spent 489 days with us in July of 2022 through November of 2023. He was released on a plea, but he returned to the jail on July 3rd, 2024, and pled again to criminal trespass and was released on July 24th, 2024. Now he's come back to us again in less than 2 months on a new criminal trespass charge. Mr. Felton, you don't qualify for a signature bond. You receive a surety bond, and that's going to be $2,000 surety. And if you didn't get the memo before, you cannot return to the Texaco gas station at 1117 Lee Street in Atlanta, Georgia. If you're seen within 200 yards of his parking lot, sidewalks, or his building, you will be arrested again. Your next court date is going to be October 17. Thank you.
Thank you.
You have, hey, we have a add on, Mr. Leroy Williams. Is that the gentleman that we did with the two cases?
Yes, so that's the case from August the 6th that was missing off the calendar for Mr. Leroy Williams there from 2023.
And they were both 35?
They were both a total of 3,500 surety bond.
Gotcha. Okay.
So he's got a total of a $7,000 surety bond for both cases.
Gotcha.
All right, I think any other cases, Deputy, in courtroom 2?
No, that completes our calendar over here.
All right, thank you, sir.
All right.
Position 1, Bentley is a $1,000 surety reset to October 17th. Position 2, Davis is a 2,500 signature bond through the jail. Further notice. Position 3, Davis is a 2,500 signature bond through pretrial level 1. Position 4, Felton is a $2,000 surety reset October 17th. Position 5, Hinson's a $2,000 surety, October 17th. Position 6, Johnson's a $1,000 surety, reset October 17th. Position 7, Sandra Jones is I believe that was a surety bond. I'm sorry, I didn't write it down.
That's what I have.
The $1,000 surety bond?
Yes, a social worker visit, and that she's got an APD hold.
Right, okay. And we're going to reset her along with the second case, 24 CR 03003-633, I believe. I think, no, disregard that part. She's just got this one case. Okay, position 8, Tamir Jones, that's a $3,000 cash bond only. Reset date is October 17th. Charity Moore is a $500 surety. Reset with open battery case 23 CR 0000420J. Brianna Morris is a 3,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1 with a DBIP. Same bond requirements and conditions for position 11, Jean Harrison. No violent contact with each other. Position 12, Richardson's $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. Position 13.
Did you say 2 or 3?
Position 12, Richardson, I have 2.
Okay, I have 3.
I'm going to keep it at 2. Please amend.
Okay.
Thank you. Position 13, Reinhardt is a 2,500 signature bond through pretrial level 1. Position 14, Gary Smith is a $2,000 surety bond, reset October 17th. Tamika Bond is a $2,000 surety bond, reset October 17th, released to a hold only. Now, Leroy Williams, he's got 2 cases. In both cases, one ending in 6830G, that's a 3,500 surety. And the one ending in 6821G, that's a 3,500 surety. Both cases reset to October 17th. And then Ambrose Williamson is a $1,000 surety bond, reset date October 17th.
Okay.
Is that all correct? All right, folks, thank you so much. We will see you later. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Judge.
Have a nice afternoon.